Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Today is officially 1 month since I started this channel, and I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has engaged with my videos, who has liked, who has subscribed, who has shared my videos with friends, and who has commented. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, thank you guys. And to celebrate this milestone, I've put together another binge-worthy long compilation of all my game testing, tips, tricks, and tutorials. I made a joke in my previous 2-hour binge session that I was doing it for the ad revenue, and that was just a joke. But that video is actually the majority of my ad revenue for the month. So this kind of video really is a win-win for everyone. I can actually get more ad revenue, it turns out it's not just a joke. And you, the viewer, get a nice long convenient binge-worthy video to watch without having to keep constantly switching video after every 10 minutes. I'll put timestamps below so you can jump to the parts that interest you, or you can just leave this on in the background so you don't have to worry about what to watch for the next 2 or 3 hours. Thank you once again to everyone who subscribed. I'm almost at 4,000 subscribers, which is just mad. I am extremely grateful to everyone. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this long, binge-worthy video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. You may notice that things look a little bit different today. That's because I'm currently visiting my family, so for the next week, my setup will look like this. But 1 week later, I'll be back to the usual setup. Today, we're going to be testing AAA Android games to see how they run on the Retroid Pocket 5. First of all, let's jump into a speed test and see how our Wi-Fi connection looks, as that'll be quite important for our online games. So our download speed is 69 megabits per second, that should be perfectly fine for online gaming. So let's jump into some games now. Our first game today is Stumble Guys, one of my absolute favourite games to play on a little handheld like this. As you can see, we're getting a very smooth 60 frames per second, no worries here, no issues, it runs great. Through round 1, into round 2, the spin go round. It looks like we're going to win this very easily. Our little T-Rex friend's having a rough time. He's just getting smashed by those things. Oh no. You can do it. I believe in you. Oh no. As you can see, the competition is fierce. This is the finale. Oh, how did I miss there? Oh, I've ruined this. Right, let's go. We can do this. We need to catch up a lot, but I think we can do it. Oh, we were doing so well. I think we just lost. Oh yeah, oh unlucky, we were close. Okay, Stumble Guys works very well on this device. It's a great Stumble Guys device. Next up we have Call of Duty Warzone. This is my first time ever playing this game, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing. The buttons are already mapped automatically. We're getting around 25 to 30 frames per second, and it seems like I have all my guns ready to go. So let's see if we can get some kills. By selecting the controller style as Xbox from the top menu, it automatically assigns all of the buttons. We don't need to do it ourselves. So straight out of the box, natively, all the buttons are configured, and we can just jump straight into the game. You are following Doncaster Crips. Okay, I guess that's Michael Myers in the Halloween mask. I can see the frame rate is dipping down a little bit, from 30 down to around 24. It is getting a little bit choppy. Hopefully I can pick up a gun here. The buttons are all assigned to what I'd expect them to be. As I'm running around, it feels like Call of Duty on the PlayStation. All the buttons are what I expect, like clicking in the left stick to run, looking down the sight, reloading with the left face button. It's all what I would expect it to be. So it's nice and comfortable so far. I see a red dot on the map. I wonder if there's an enemy over there. Oh, it is. Oh. Ah! Don't worry, Michael Myers, I got him. Don't worry, Michael Myers, I got him too. Oh, this is very fun so far, and I feel like the controls work really well. If somebody's playing this with the touchscreen of a phone, I feel like I have a good advantage with the Retroid Pocket 5. What I really like is every button is what I would expect it to be. Oh! Get him! I feel very comfortable with these controls. Nice. Enemies just constantly keep coming in. Oh, there's too many enemies! Hold to use self-revive kit. Yes, please. Oh, well, that didn't last very long. Okay, I think we can say this game is very playable and very fun. I'm definitely going to try and play this game more. That was very fun. Here's a game with a similar theme. This is Polygon. It's another arena shooter style game, but this time it's a really cute cartoony game that I saw on the App Store. This game automatically locks onto people and automatically shoots them. I assume I'm playing against bots because nobody's doing anything. I might just be in the wrong game mode right now, but this game feels like a scam. So let's jump into a real shooting game, the one that's been requested the most on this channel. I've had so many comments asking me to try Fortnite on Android, so let's do that now. Jumping into the practice before the game, we have a dancing anime woman and a banana that's trying to murder people. I covered Fortnite in a previous video of game streaming, and I mentioned in that stream that I really don't play Fortnite at all. So once again, this video is not a showcase of my skill, it's just to show you guys how well the game runs on Android on the Retroid Pocket 5. So you can see right now up here we have 31 frames per second, and hopefully we're going to stay around 30 frames per second as we play the game. Once again, I didn't have to bind any of the controls. Using the Xbox controller setting in the control menu, everything is already bound for me, everything's configured, and it seems to be running perfectly. So let's jump down, let's deploy our glider, maybe try to get onto a roof. I'll have to turn up the audio so I can hear people coming, and let's see how this runs. It seems to be running very smoothly so far. Somebody's trying to shoot me. Get him with the pickaxe! Get him! Why does that do no damage? Somebody please teach me why my gun does no damage. Is it just because I'm missing? It's pickaxe time. That orange bar doesn't go down. Is that some kind of armor? As you can see, I really don't know what I'm doing in this game. So if somebody could tell me in the comments why he doesn't take much damage. Was I just missing him? Or is that orange bar some kind of strong armor? I'd really like to know, because I would like to try and play Fortnite more. But for the purposes of this video, I can say it runs at a very smooth 30 frames per second, and it's very playable. If you know how to play the game, which unfortunately, I don't. So let's move on to a different game. This is Slay the Spire, and this is probably my favorite game in the world. Unfortunately, the Android port doesn't support controllers, and there's no real easy way to bind the buttons because everything keeps moving across the screen. Slay the Spire is a turn-based card game, so you won't be surprised to hear that it runs a perfect 60 frames per second. No matter what you do in the game, it's going to be absolutely perfect. I just wish I could get the controls working. So I am also playing a port of this game on a different console on the Retroid Pocket 5, and it runs perfectly. You'll be able to see a comparison of these two devices in my upcoming Versus video, where I'm going to show the same game running on different platforms, as well as remakes of different games running on different platforms, and I'll compare how they run on the Retroid Pocket 5, which ones run well, and which ones I'd recommend. So look out for that coming very soon. So moving on from one card game to another, this is a much newer card game, Balatro. As it's a lot newer, it has controller support right out of the box. It natively supports controllers, it works absolutely perfectly, and you can easily play this game at a solid 60 frames per second. The Retroid Pocket 5 is a fantastic Balatro machine. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. Please like the video, leave me a comment letting me know what you'd like to see next. Please consider subscribing to the channel to see new Retroid Pocket 5 content every single day. And if you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5, I'll leave my affiliate link in the description, which takes you to the official Retroid website, which is where I bought my one. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. In this episode, we're going to be comparing versions of games on different systems. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video because we have a big one. We'll be comparing original games against their remakes and some cross-platform games to see how they run on different systems. We'll be checking the graphics, the performance, the controls, and just how they generally feel to play. So let's jump into the first game, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker on GameCube and the HD remaster on Wii U. Here I'm back at the beginning of the game because I foolishly forgot to save my progress, but I can tell you it runs at a very smooth 30 frames per second and it looks beautiful. This is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful games ever made, and the GameCube version looks incredible on the Retroid Pocket 5's OLED screen. I really enjoyed playing this game, and it's a perfectly smooth experience. This is a game I tried to emulate in the past on different consoles, and I sometimes ran into some issues. But here on the Retroid Pocket 5, in the Dolphin emulator, it's running beautifully. Jumping into the Wii U version now, it looks incredible, but it does sometimes lose frames. You'll see up here the frame rate is mostly at 30 frames per second, sometimes going a little higher, sometimes going a little lower, and I have not gotten as far into the game on this version. I'm still around the starting area, and it's mostly running well, but I do notice some fluctuations in frame rate and it does slow down and stutter just a little bit. I'm going to have to test how it goes when we get further into the game, but it seems like it might slow down and stutter just a bit when it's loading in shaders. It's definitely playable, it's definitely nice, and it looks incredible. So I'd say in this case, both versions are very playable, but personally I would choose the GameCube version, because I think it looks incredible and it runs absolutely perfectly. So let's move on to the next game. Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U versus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. In both cases, we'll jump into a single player game. I'm just going to keep smashing the A button. So we're choosing Mario with the same car, the same settings, everything will be the same for testing purposes. So first of all, this is the Wii U version. I've played a few races on this so far and it's been an incredible experience. You'll see the frame rate fluctuating between 50 and 60 frames per second. It's mostly smooth at 60. It does sometimes drop down to 50, but to me 50 frames per second still feels and looks smooth. I don't notice it jumping or stuttering too much. It's a really good, really solid experience. Once again, jumping into a race with Mario, this time on the Switch. In this case, you're going to notice some stutters and slowdowns. The frame rate is fluctuating around 40 frames per second, but it sometimes drops in the 20s, sometimes goes up to 50 or 60. In this case, it's a much less smooth experience than on the Wii U, and honestly, I think it graphically looks about the same. So when it comes to Mario Kart, I would prefer to play the Wii U version, which runs flawlessly. I definitely wouldn't call the Switch version unplayable, as it runs around 40 to 45 frames per second on average, but it definitely feels noticeably less smooth than the Wii U version. So if you wanted to pick one of them, I would go with the Wii U version in this case. Next up, we have The Simpsons Hit and Run, PlayStation 2 versus GameCube. You can see right now we're running at around 50 frames per second, and this is on the PlayStation 2 version of the game. It runs mostly smooth, it's nice to play, and it looks great. You can also see we have it set up to run in widescreen, so it's nice that it's filling up the whole screen. Now this is the GameCube version of the game. You'll see we're running in a 4:3 aspect ratio this time. I'm sure you could also switch it to widescreen if you wanted, I just haven't gone through and set that up yet. And here we're getting much closer to a smooth 60 frames per second, and overall the game just feels a lot smoother on the GameCube version. I'm not sure if that's to do with the game itself or the emulator we're using, but for The Simpsons Hit and Run, I would recommend using the Dolphin emulator and playing the GameCube version. It just feels smoother overall, and it's delightful to play on the Retroid Pocket 5. Next we have Slay the Spire, the Android version versus the Switch version. The Android version of Slay the Spire works really well on the Retroid Pocket 5, but the problem is there's no controller support. So unfortunately, you do just have to use the touchscreen for everything. So while the game runs very well on the Retroid Pocket 5, it's just not a very fun experience having to use the touchscreen. This is not what the device is really for. Now moving over to the Nintendo Switch version of Slay the Spire, this is much better. It natively has controller support, and the game runs beautifully on the Retroid Pocket 5. This is a fantastic Slay the Spire machine, and I've already put tens of hours into this game on the Retroid Pocket 5. It's glorious. Take that. Next up, we have Zelda Skyward Sword on the Wii versus Skyward Sword HD on the Switch. This one's a bit tricky because the Wii uses all motion controls. And as you can see here, I have set up the gyroscope on the Retroid Pocket to move around the cursor as I move it. But it's not perfect because this is not what the device was made for. You can definitely go into the settings more, tinker with it and play around with it, but it's not particularly comfortable. So let's see if we can throw this barrel through this window by rocking the Retroid Pocket 5. Ready? Go! Nope. Whew. There we go. It is pretty fun, but it's not how I'd really like to play the game. Oh, and we're in trouble. What do you think you're doing? Ooh. The Nintendo Switch Remaster, on the other hand, is built with a controller in mind, so this one runs beautifully. The graphics are not too different from the original game, so it runs very easily on the Retroid Pocket 5. We're at a solid 60 frames per second, it's built with controller support in mind, so it runs beautifully. In this case, I would definitely recommend the HD Remaster on the Switch. It clearly wins this round because it's far easier to control and much more suited to a gamepad device like the Retroid Pocket 5. Next up, we have Zelda Twilight Princess on the GameCube versus Zelda Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U. Growing up, I had this game on the Wii, and what you're seeing right now is actually the Wii version. It runs fine, but once again, I'm worried about the controller issue, so instead of testing the Wii version, we're going to jump into the GameCube version. This is the GameCube version, and as you can see, we're running at a solid 30 frames per second. Everything's running very well. We have the 4:3 aspect ratio. It looks really good. GameCube games really hold up well. It's a very solid experience, it's very smooth, and it's lovely to play. Now jumping into the Wii U version, once again it runs absolutely perfectly. We now have a 16:9 aspect ratio. We once again have a very solid 30 frames per second. And I do like the updates in UI over the GameCube version. I find the A, B, X and Y buttons much clearer and easier to read. And when there's an instruction, such as to use an item or mount or dismount from the horse, they also repeat them at the bottom of the screen, so it's nice and clear and easy to read. So in this case, I do prefer the Wii U version. But both are fantastic, both look great, both run smooth. It's going to come down to personal preference. Next up, we have Super Mario 3D All-Stars versus Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario 64. Jumping into Super Mario 64 on the N64, you can see the text is almost impossible to read. It might be because the game's quite old and was made for CRT televisions, but I believe it's something I need to fix in the settings, so I will try and look into that more and fix it. But once we get into the game, it shouldn't be an issue. The text in the game itself is clear and easy to read, but we will compare that to the remake in a minute. Getting into the game now, the text once again is quite hard to read. I can read it, but it's definitely not very clear. Running around, you can see we've got a very smooth 30 frames per second. The game feels very fun. I can jump, I can slide, whee! It's been quite a few years since I played this game, but I remember it was a very fun game, so I am looking forward to getting back into it. But I need to decide if I should play it on the Nintendo 64 or the Switch Remake. So now let's jump into the Switch Remake and see how it compares. I'm especially interested to see what the text looks like. Jumping into the Switch Remake, you can see the text is perfectly clear. So if the performance is equally smooth at 30 frames per second, this will be a clear winner. Jumping into the game, we once again have that same smooth 30 frames per second. We can jump, we can slide, whee! It feels the same, it looks the same, but we have very readable text. So on this occasion, I definitely give this to the Switch Remake. One thing I can notice are very small black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen that I didn't notice on the N64 version. It's going to be pretty much impossible to see because of the way that the OLED screen so perfectly blends into the body of the Retroid Pocket 5, but when holding it at a certain angle, I do notice some very slight bars at the top and the bottom. Maybe that was in the N64 version and I just didn't notice. But in any case, it's not going to detract from the game at all, and I would choose this over the N64 version because of the clear text. I'm sure with a little research and time, you could fix that text issue in the N64 version, but straight out of the box, I prefer the Switch version. So now let's move into the next game in the same series. This is Super Mario Sunshine. Once again, we can jump, we can slide, whee! I showcased this in one of my previous videos and I mentioned how it was only running around 25 frames per second, and I was curious if I could get it up to 50. Unfortunately, I've not had any time to test that yet, but I do hope there's a way to get it to 50 frames per second. Once again, we have the 4:3 aspect ratio, everything runs very smoothly at 25 frames per second, and it feels very nice to play. So let's see how this compares to the Switch version. Jumping into the Nintendo Switch version now, there are some big slowdowns as it renders shaders. We now have a 16:9 aspect ratio and everything's looking pretty nice. Graphically, it looks much nicer than the GameCube version, but with that comes a hit in performance. It seems like we're going to struggle to get 30 frames per second in this, and we're even struggling to get 20 frames per second at times. For some games, it is possible to download shader cache files, which will render all of these shaders for us and fix any stuttering issues. That's something I will look into in the future, but for now, I will say this is not running particularly well. I would not call it playable with this many slowdowns happening even at the beginning of the game, and in this case, I would definitely recommend you check out the original GameCube version. And now finally, we have Super Mario Galaxy. This is a game I've never played before. I have no idea what's going to happen, but this is a Wii game, so once again, we might have some issues with the controls. As you can see, I have the right stick corresponding to the Wiimote. Like how you would point the Wiimote around the screen, that's corresponding to this right analog stick. But then I set the A button, which usually confirms things, to this B button, so I have to try and push these at the same time. That's a bit of an oversight on my part. I probably should have set the A button to a trigger or something. So let's try and coordinate these buttons together, and then hopefully it will be easier once we get into the game. You could definitely spend some more time setting up the controls in a much smarter way than what I have, because this is definitely not the best idea. We now got into the game, so let's see if I can control it okay. I can run around, I can jump. I'm not sure how to slide, but I can curl up into a ball. This star is being controlled by the Wiimote, so I have to use the right stick. This seems very difficult, and I can already tell I'm not going to have fun playing this Wii version, so let's jump into the Switch version. Super Mario Sunshine didn't run very well on here, and with this being an even more modern game, I'm curious to see how it will do. In this case, we don't have motion controls, we can simply just tap on the screen, and with the Retroid Pocket 5 being a touchscreen, that's nice and easy to do. So going through the menus, this is much easier than the Wii version, but we just need to see if we have the performance when we get into the game. The Wii version seemed to be running very smoothly, it was just a little bit difficult to control. Jumping into the game, and it seems to be running in slow motion, so we're really struggling to run this. I'm going to go into the settings and drop the resolution down to 75%. After lowering the graphics settings, it seems to be exactly the same. We seem to be running in slow motion. Let's just quickly compare this once again to the Wii version to check that I'm not just going insane. Back to the Wii version, this is clearly much faster, much smoother, and working really well at 60 frames per second. The only issue is the controller, but there are some very smart people on YouTube and on the internet who have made controller profiles for all different Wii games. So this is a good point to put the console down and talk about my conclusion from my testing today. I would recommend that you play each game on the newest system that you can handle. If you can handle the game on a new system like the Switch, it's going to look the best, it's probably going to fit the screen without any widescreen patches or hacks necessary, the text is going to be perfectly clear, and it's going to look fantastic. If the Retroid Pocket 5 can't handle the Switch game, then drop down to the next console, whether that's the Wii or the GameCube or the PlayStation. If you're having problems with the control on the Wii, you can go into the Wii input settings and there is a lot here that you can customize. Sometimes you might play a game and it tells you have to connect a nunchuck. In that case, you can come down to Extension and choose Extension Nunchuck, and then you'll be able to play the game. If you're struggling with the controls like I was in this video, check out some YouTube guides where people will show you how to set up the controls properly. And in some cases, they will actually let you download their profile, which you can just import into your emulator and start using straight away. For me personally, I prioritize performance over everything else, and I'd rather play a game at a smooth 60 frames per second rather than one that looked a little bit better but lagged and stuttered. I hope today's videos were helpful in helping you decide which emulator to use and how to play certain games. I also hope it gave you some things to think about when it comes to emulation and can help you get the most out of your Retroid Pocket 5. So please like this video, share any comments or thoughts you might have below. I'd love it if you could subscribe to the channel, and if you'd like to buy your own Retroid Pocket 5 like I have here, I'll leave my affiliate link in the description to the official Retroid website, the same place I bought my one. Thank you so much for watching today, and have a lovely day. I'll see you tomorrow. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. In this episode today, we're going to be covering the 3DS. Now, before we begin, I have a confession to make. I have never played the 3DS in my life, so this is going to be a really exciting experience for me. I did have the original DS, and while I'm visiting my family, I did find this DS Lite, which is currently playing I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. For some reason, Jed is talking to me. Become friends. Jed says, I like you, but I don't know you yet. It's too early to be friends. What is this game? If you'd like to see me make some videos with this DS Lite, let me know. But for now, let's get back to the Retroid Pocket 5. For this video, we're using Lime 3DS, and this is version 2119. Jumping into a 3DS classic, Animal Crossing New Leaf, you can see we have the two screens set up side by side, but in Lime 3DS, you can configure a button to switch layouts. So I'm using the right stick to change between layouts like this. So as I cycle through them, you can just pick what's comfortable for you in a particular game. Some games only really use one screen, so you can make it full screen like this. But for most screens, you're going to want to see two. You're probably going to want to see the main screen bigger and the secondary screen smaller. This will be personal preference, so you can just cycle through and find what suits you. I'll make the game full screen and put the FPS counter in the top right so you can see how smoothly it runs. As we walk around the island and it loads in new shaders, we do get some stutters and stops, as you can see. But then when we circle back around after they've been loaded in, it's perfectly smooth at 60 frames per second. So I do think this runs really well. It just needs to load in those shaders for the first time, and then we get a lovely smooth 60 frames per second. I'm a big fan of Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I'm looking forward to playing this one too and trying it out. Now jumping into Mario Kart 7. We have the main game on one screen and the map on the other screen. Of course, we can cycle through, and if you wanted to, we could hide that map and just have a full screen driving experience. I've tried a couple of test races off camera and it's running very smooth at 60 frames per second. Once again, it is slowing down at certain points when it seems that it's loading in shaders of different racetracks, but for the most part, it's running very smoothly and it's a very enjoyable experience when you're not being smashed off the road. Hey! Growing up, I was a big fan of Pokemon Ruby, so this is Pokemon Omega Ruby, and I'm very excited to play this game. The game's running smoothly at 60 frames per second, and a simple cartoony game like this won't have any issue running on the Retroid Pocket 5. I do have more Pokemon games, but I'll save those for an upcoming test. Now let's jump into A Link Between Worlds. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know that I'm trying to get the Switch version of this running, but I can't do so effectively. As you can see, the 3DS version of this game is running perfectly at a super smooth 60 frames per second. It feels wonderful to play, and I hope that I can get the newer version working this well too. Next up, we have Minecraft on the 3DS. Let's see how this runs with generating chunks. I'm really curious to see if it can generate many chunks in the distance, or if it's just going to tank. My world is corrupted and cannot be saved. So it seems like we cannot run Minecraft on the 3DS on the Retroid Pocket 5, or maybe I've just corrupted the system somehow. But honestly, we have loads of different ways to run Minecraft on the Retroid Pocket 5, so this is not an issue. Now for something a little different. This is Pro Evolution Soccer 2013, and it's running very well, and it looks good too. I've tried quite a lot of football games on the Retroid Pocket 5 so far, and this is one of my favourites. It's running really nicely here. I've given away a penalty. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal World Duel Carnival. I'm making use of the auto skip button, something I wish more games had. I like the little Dark Magician Girl loading animation, that's cute. And once again, no surprises here, the game runs at a perfectly smooth 60 frames per second. I have a lot more games I could show you for the 3DS, and I could do that in an upcoming video if it's something you'd like to see, so please leave a comment if you would like to see further testing on the 3DS, but I think that we can say the 3DS will run absolutely beautifully on the Retroid Pocket 5, so I hope this helped answer some of your questions. I hope this video was useful and informative. If it was, please give me a like, subscribe, and if you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5, you can use my affiliate link in the description to be taken to the official Retroid Pocket website, which is where I bought my one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Today is 20 days since I got my Retroid Pocket 5 and started this YouTube channel. So I wanted to run through some more questions that people have had in the comments section of my videos to talk about the general overall experience using the Retroid Pocket 5. Jumping into the first question, first of all, thank you for saying that my video is informative. That's what I'm trying to do here on this channel. Let's say you're using the R3 button to cycle through layouts. This is in the 3DS emulator. Can we configure a button to cycle through anti-clockwise? So in the Lime 3DS settings, we have a button to cycle through layouts, and we also have a button to swap screens. So I've chosen to cycle layouts by clicking in the right stick, and I've chosen to swap screens by clicking in the left stick. So now in our game, by clicking in the right stick, it will swap screen configurations, and you can find one that suits the game you're playing. Then we can click the left stick to switch which side of the Retroid Pocket 5 screen the Nintendo DS screen is on. So if you want to make this screen go to the right and this screen go to the left, you can click this button. I don't think there is a button to cycle through anti-clockwise, but there aren't actually many configurations, so you don't really need to worry about that. If you look at the screen setup we have right now, and I'll just click the button a few times, and let's see how long it takes to go all the way through all of the different options and back to this screen. We're already back, so it didn't take very long. It could be a nice feature to be able to go anti-clockwise, but I don't think it's really necessary. I think the current setup like this works very well. While on the topic of the 3DS, I got a question asking if I was playing at 1x, 2x, or 3x native resolution. I was actually playing at 4x native resolution, 1600 by 960, which is just a little bit below the 1920 by 1080 screen of the Retroid Pocket 5. I did try using 5x native resolution, which is even higher than the resolution of this screen, but it was causing me to lose a little bit of performance, and I didn't feel that it was necessary to push the resolution higher than the screen can even show. So for that reason, I decided to stick with 4x native, 1600 by 960. It looks good and runs well. Do you run your tests in performance mode? No. For all of my tests that you see on this channel, I'm always running the performance mode as standard, not performance or high performance. The reason for this is that I want to keep the fan turned off and run the device silently. As I've gone through testing multiple systems, I've not noticed much of an improvement by bumping the performance up to performance or high performance mode, but I have noticed a huge difference in fan level. I'll just quickly demonstrate this now. As we move up to high performance mode and the fan kicks into sport mode, you'll hear it becomes very noisy. I really don't like that sound, so I like to keep it on standard mode with the fan turned off, and now you'll hear there's no sound whatsoever. That's much better, and the games run really well. So do I use performance mode? No. Next up, do you need a PC to use this? Absolutely not. Of course, if you're setting up lots of different emulation systems, it's much easier if you have a PC, but you don't need one. And I am going to show you how to use a PC with this in the future. But being an Android device, it already comes with Chrome, it comes with the Play Store, it comes with a file manager, it comes with everything you're going to need to set it up. If you want to download any files, you can just use Chrome, or I'd also recommend using Brave browser because that cuts out a lot of advertisements you might get on certain websites. And while using a PC definitely could help speed up some of the processes when you're setting this up, you don't need one at all. Could you test Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and 3 Ultimate please? 3 Ultimate also has a Wii U version if you want to compare it. So I've had a lot of game requests like this and I'm still running through my game recommendations. Somebody also asked me why I have an Alex Jones game. I don't actually know who that is. These are just the recommendations I got on my videos and I'm running through them to help you guys. So can I test Monster Hunter 4? Yes, absolutely. I will put those together in a comparison video in the future and let you know how it runs. So if any of you guys have more recommendations, please leave a comment under this video and I'll try to add them to my list and get testing them for you. For the bottom screen, is the touchscreen usable even when it's tiny and to the side? Once again, this is about the 3DS. This is the last question about the 3DS today, but let's just jump back into that and I'll show you. So of course, with the two screens side by side, we can easily use all of the touchscreen, but the question was, even when the screen is very small, can we still use it? So let's cycle through some different settings. Let's find one where the screen is really small like that. Can we still use it? I'll choose Ember. And as you can see, yes, we can still use it. It works perfectly fine. Can you try Pokemon ROM hacks? So there are very many Pokemon games that I want to try. Games like Pokemon Colosseum, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Fire Red, Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Heart Gold, Pokemon XY, Blue, Black. Did I just say blue? I meant white. There are so many different Pokemon games that I can't even remember the names of them. So I decided I will make a comprehensive, detailed Pokemon video. I will dedicate a video to all different Pokemon games, including ROM hacks and the Pokemon MMO. So make sure to subscribe and look out for that coming soon. Hi Ryan, love the videos, thank you. Could you do a setup guide with emulators that use a front end for the total noobs like me? Yes, absolutely. Right now, my Retroid Pocket 5 is still running the pre-production software. I do have the firmware flashing kit and guide, and I am going to do that, but I'll wait until I finish my vacation and get back home. So when I get back home a few days later, I'm going to make a video showing the update process, and then I'm also going to make a guide showing you how I set up each emulator and how I got them all running well. So look out for that in the next week or so. Thanks again for the excellent content. Thank you, Yusuf. I saw a 16:9 ratio on the GameCube version of Zelda Wind Waker. How did you do this? Yes, so if you watched my cross-platform comparison video a few days ago, you might have noticed I've got the Wind Waker on GameCube running in 16:9. The way I achieved this is by using something called gecko codes. You can search around on the internet and find many gecko codes. I found the one you're seeing now on Reddit. If you search the game name followed by widescreen gecko code, I'm sure you can find the same one that I used. So once you've found the code, you're going to need to copy and paste. Go into the Dolphin emulator, hold your finger down on the game you want to edit, and go to Edit Cheats. Now you're going to need to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there might be a lot to get through here. And when you get to the bottom, you'll find it says Add New Gecko Code. So you're going to click on that and put a name you want. So I would call it something like widescreen. Then scroll down to Code and paste in here the code you got from Reddit or another website. Then when you do that, it's going to appear as an option you can toggle on and off here. So here's the one I added called widescreen. I found the code through Reddit, I pasted it in, and now when I check this box, it's going to be widescreen. So now if I disable this and head back into the game, you'll see we're now back to the original 4:3 aspect ratio. So let's enable it one more time. Let's hold our finger down on the game, go to Edit Cheats, scroll all the way down to the bottom where my added gecko code was, and let's toggle on the widescreen gecko code. And now getting back into the game, you'll see once again, we have a 16:9 aspect ratio. You can use gecko codes for many things such as cheats and widescreen hacks. So check them out online and see what you can do to edit your games. Do wireless controllers work on the Retroid Pocket 5 or no? Once again, in my video testing the Retroid Pocket 5 on TVs, I used a wireless controller and it worked perfectly. But for the sake of demonstration, one more time, here we have an 8-bit Do or 8-bit Do SNES style gamepad. We can take our gamepad and put it into pairing mode by holding the pairing button. On most gamepads you'll then see some flickering flashing lights like this. We can drag down from the top of the screen in the Retroid Pocket 5, come to where it says Bluetooth and hold that down, choose Pair New Device, and then hopefully if all goes well it should show up here on the drop down menu. Here's my 8-bit Do controller, I will tap that and I will choose Pair. And now the controller is set up. As I push the D-pad, you'll see it controlling the screen. When using a controller, it's very handy to jump into a front end, such as ESDE here. And when we jump into a game, we are going to need to configure this in the emulator we're using. Thankfully, most emulators have automatic mapping, so by clicking automatic mapping and then choosing our 8-bit Do controller, it should now work perfectly. So let's see if we can turn the car around. And sure enough, it's working absolutely perfectly, and it's a beautiful experience. I'm not noticing any lag whatsoever. I did mention this in my TV video. I don't notice any lag, but just to test that, let's quickly jump into a rhythm game. Here I'm playing Guitar Hero. I just quickly set up the buttons, so they don't actually match the colors of the controller. I just did this very quickly, but just to show I can hit all the buttons in time. There's no problem with the latency whatsoever in my experience. I have no idea what the red button is. Once again, I have a question. Are you employed by Retroid? No, absolutely not. I wish I was. I'm not employed by Retroid. The only reason that I only cover this one console is because it's the one that I have. I cannot afford to get other consoles. I wish I could. Hopefully someday soon I can afford to buy an Odin or something similar and review that as well. And if you guys would like to see me review something like the Odin Portal, please let me know because I am really considering buying one. Regular Jeffrey says, first off, loving the videos. Thank you so much. What size SD card are you using? I'm using a 512GB SD card, but I keep nearly filling it up all the time. So if you want to get a lot of games, I would recommend getting at least a 1TB SD card. If you're somebody who just picks and chooses a few games to play and then deletes them when they're done, 512 will be good enough for you. But for me, someone who wants to showcase a lot of games, I'm actually really struggling with this 512GB, and I'm certainly going to be upgrading to at least a 1TB card soon. Excellent videos. Thank you so much. Do you know if BBC iPlayer and other streaming apps work on this via the video out? So I can't actually get iPlayer on mine because my Play Store is the Korean Play Store, but I'll get some other streaming apps, but I will show you this in a minute because I am going to connect this to the TV to answer one of the other questions. Quick question, how do you turn off RGB on the analog sticks? This is very easy. If you just swipe down from the top of the screen, you can see here joystick light. If you click on that, it will bring up the options of what color you would like. And here at the bottom, you have the brightness. So by swiping it up to the top, you have 100% brightness on both sides. And by swiping that brightness down to 0%, they turn off. This question asks me, will the sound be at the monitor speaker or the RP5 itself? So in my previous video, I showed connecting the Retroid Pocket 5 to monitors and TVs. And I've had some questions asking where the sound will play from. In that video, sometimes when I connected to monitors, the sound came through the monitor, and sometimes it came out of the Retroid Pocket 5. The sound wasn't the focus of that video, so I didn't put too much time into testing that. So let's have a look now. In a previous video, I connected the Retroid Pocket 5 to a TV using a USB-C to HDMI cable. This time around, I'm using an HP hub, which once again lets you connect a USB-C device to an HDMI, but the result should be the same. So connecting the Retroid Pocket 5 to the TV, you can see it displays beautifully on the big screen. But is there any sound? That's what we need to test now. So let's turn up the sound on the device and see where it's coming from. So by turning the sound up, you'll hear there is no sound coming out at all. There is no sound coming from the Retroid Pocket 5, so my assumption would be it should be coming from the TV. Turning up the sound on the TV, there is no sound coming out of this at all. So this is something I do have to test more, because at my own home, some devices played the sound out of the TV and some didn't. So I will need to do more testing on this, and this will be dedicated to a future video, so look out for that. While I haven't been able to get streaming apps working on the Retroid Pocket 5 yet, if I open a YouTube video by a brilliant YouTuber and then connect the cable to the TV once more, you will see that it connects with no problems at all, but the only issue we are running into is that audio issue, which I do need to try to fix. So watch out for that in a future video where I'll try and get to the bottom of that and fix it once and for all. And on that note, I want to say thank you for watching this video. Thank you to everyone who's been with me for the past 20 days and subscribed to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And also, if this video was useful to you, please consider liking it and sharing a comment. If you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5, I'll leave my affiliate link down in the description to where I bought it from myself, the official Retroid website. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Today we're going to be focusing on Nintendo DS games. I had one of the original silver Nintendo DS's back in the day. I actually ordered it from Japan, so I got it a little bit before it came out in the UK. I then also bought this Nintendo DS Lite, which I have modified with some custom games. So I'm really excited to replace this, as well as many other consoles, with just the Retroid Pocket 5. It's very convenient to be able to replace so many devices, especially with something that has such a great OLED screen. First of all, we're jumping into Dragon Quest IX. As I showed in my recent 3DS video, we can cycle through different screen layouts by clicking in the right stick, and by clicking in the left stick, we can cycle which side of the Retroid Pocket 5 screen the Nintendo DS screen is on. I also had a few questions in my previous 3DS video asking if you could rotate the Retroid Pocket 5 and show everything vertically, and yes you can. It would be a little bit difficult to control it this way, but yes, you absolutely can rotate the device and see everything vertically. But for the sake of easy control, we're going to once again rotate it horizontally and control it this way. The graphics look really nice when upscaled. For this video, I'm using the Drastic emulator. There are some other good emulators on the market, but this is one that I've used for many years, so I wanted to use it for this test. By going into the settings and going to Options, Video, and scrolling down to Filter, I've changed this to HQ2X, which I find makes the graphics look a little bit sharper. I've also enabled high resolution 3D rendering and 16-bit rendering. I'm not 100% sure if those are necessary, but I have found that the graphics definitely look noticeably sharper after making those changes. I would love to be able to show you more of this game, but I've been running around this area for 5 minutes and I'm completely lost. I don't know where to go. So let's move on to the next game. Now jumping into FIFA 11, a game that I loved on the Xbox. Looking at the Arsenal team here of Almunia, Bentner and Shamak, this was a very hard time to be an Arsenal fan. FIFA is a game where you don't really need to see the second screen. It's only really useful for seeing the radar, so you can make this a one-screen setup so you get a nice big full screen to look at, and it plays pretty well. It's definitely not the best football experience you'll have on the Retroid Pocket, but it's okay. What a goal! No goalkeeper in the world is stopping that. Jumping now into the Sonic Classic Collection, so we're now emulating one console, emulating another console. One thing I would like to do with the Drastic Emulator is I would like to move these screens down so that they're in the middle rather than at the top. Going into the Drastic settings, you can go into Edit Screens and Virtual Pad, choose the screen you want to edit, so I'm going to choose the first one, Landscape 1x1, and then you can freely move them around the screen. At the bottom of the screen you can choose Open Tools, and by tapping on a screen you can then use these tools to move the screen to the center and then move it to the side. And we'll select the other one as well, move it to the center, move it to the right hand side, and now when we close the tools, we have both screens perfectly in the middle of the screen. Now I will go to the menu and choose Save as Global Layout. So now when we cycle through and we get to this layout, we have what we just made, both screens perfectly in the middle. Let's jump into Sonic 2. This was a fantastic game from my childhood. On one screen we're seeing the game, on the other one we're just seeing a story. So again, we're going to switch to only one screen. Let's get into the game, spin up, and see how quickly we can get through the round. Oh, go back and get the red shoes. I don't think this is very time efficient, but I need those shoes. You may be able to tell that I've not played this game in about 25 years. Ow. Forget the rings, just get to the end. You've embarrassed yourself. 48 seconds. I'm sure everybody watching this video can do that a lot quicker than 48 seconds, but the point is, it runs very well. This game is Harvest Moon DS Grand Bazaar. I had a few requests to test some Harvest Moon games. It's very cute, and the Harvest Moon series inspired Stardew Valley. So if you're a fan of Stardew Valley, this would be a good game to check out too. I'll take out my hoe and I'll start tilling the ground. It's very cute. And I'll get my watering can and start watering my crops. It's a very cute game and it feels very relaxing to play. It'll come as no surprise to see that this game runs absolutely flawlessly on the Retroid Pocket 5, and if this is a game you'd like to play, you're going to have a great time playing it here. Next up we have New Super Mario Bros. Once again, this is a game that you can just play on one screen. I played this game a little bit this morning before recording to test it out, and it was very fun. Let's go supersized! Woo! Let's smash everything! This is very fun. I think in Mario games, this is my favourite part, when you go supersize and just destroy everything. Oh. Whee! Very fun. Highly recommend this game. Next we're jumping into a classic game, Tetris, but as you can see it has a bit of a Nintendo spin to it. Over here we have a classic Tetris game, but we have Mario spinning around, we have Mario jumping around on the other screen. I'm not quite sure if this is relevant to the game. I think it's just decoration and might make the game more fun. But if you're looking for a Tetris experience, this is definitely a fun one to try. Next we have Donkey Kong Jungle Climber. I've never played this game before, but it looks very fun, so let's give it a go now. Welcome to Sun Sun Beach on beautiful Sun Sun Island. Oh, that is lovely. In this game, one screen shows where you currently are with Donkey Kong, and the other screen shows above you. I wonder if we can rotate the screen. It doesn't quite line up perfectly, but this could be a fun way to play the game. We're kind of climbing here. Here we go, here we go, here we go. I skipped the instructions, so I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing. I really should have followed the instructions for this. But anyway, I'm having a good time. If you're going to play this game, I would recommend following the instructions instead of skipping them all like I did, but this is definitely a fun experience. If you're a Donkey Kong fan and you want to play this game, you're definitely going to be able to play it perfectly on the Retroid Pocket 5. As you can see, I have so many more games to test, and I will get to that in a follow-up video, but for now, I think we can put the console down and say that this was a great experience. Nintendo DS works perfectly on the Retroid Pocket 5, and I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any comments you'd like to share, feel free to leave a comment below. Please press the like button and subscribe if you didn't already. And if you'd like to buy your own Retroid Pocket 5 so that you can play many Nintendo DS games as well as many other systems without having to carry them all around individually, then you can find my affiliate link in the description of this video to the official Retroid website, the same place where I bought this one. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow for another one. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Today we're going to be testing one of my favourite systems of all time, the Sega Genesis, or here in the UK we called it the Sega Mega Drive. I loved this console growing up. I had so many games, and here at my family's home I found my old Mega Bomberman game. I remember going to the store to buy this and I was so excited. So of course I now have a digital version to play, so let's jump into that right now. This is immediately, in the very first second, bringing back so much nostalgia for me. I put so many tens, if not hundreds of hours into this game growing up. Of course I can't remember how to play it perfectly now, but I can vividly remember putting down all the bombs and picking up these little kangaroos. Oh, it was so fun, and I'm so happy that I can play this anywhere I go now. A handheld device like this with a great screen that I can take anywhere and play all my games, this was my childhood dream. I dreamed of being able to take these games wherever I went. I'm very happy right now, as you may be able to tell. Okay, oh, I was going to ask if this bunny is my friend or not, but apparently he just killed me. Okay, let's move on to another game. This is Andre Agassi Tennis. I have no idea how to play this. I just keep hitting the ball to the wrong side of the court. Okay, I'm losing the game only by my own steps. Hey, I want to hit it this way. Okay, I just lost the first game only through my own steps. Okay, let's play another game. Now, this was a big game of my childhood.
International Superstar Soccer Deluxe.
Wow. I used to play this game every day with my dad. I was always Brazil, and my favorite player was called Sonica. All of the players were based on real players, but for copyright reasons, they had to have fake names. I'm not sure who Sonica was, but in this game, he was amazing. I remember that he was always on the bench, so I had to bring him on. So let's take off Gomez and bring on Sonica. Give it to Sonica. Here he is, Sonica, let's go. Still Sonica. Oh, that's not the goal, Sonica. Dribble, 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 dribble. Didn't touch him. Didn't touch him. What? Didn't touch him. What? I've been getting so into this game, I completely forgot that I was filming a video. So this is definitely a good game to play on the Retroid Pocket 5 or any system. I highly recommend International Superstar Soccer Deluxe. It is just so fun. Next up we have an absolute classic, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I've chosen 2 instead of 1 because it's the one where they introduced spinning like this. In my previous video I showed the remake of this game for the Nintendo DS, but this is the original. I think on that video I got a time of around 45 or 48 seconds, so let's see if I can beat it now. I mean, I did spend about 5 seconds at the beginning just trying to spin, but I think I could still possibly beat it, if we go quick. Come on, Sonic, run! Where am I going right now? Oh, I keep getting stuck on boxes. Okay, with a pathetic time of 53 seconds, I'm sure all of you watching can easily beat that score, but this is just to show that the game runs beautifully. Also, I've turned off the sound due to copyright reasons and just so you can hear me clearly, but it sounds fantastic. Next up, we have Outrun, another classic game. I used to play this down the arcades near my home, but it was also released for the Mega Drive too. I really like the car style in this game and driving past all the palm trees. And this game is funny because when you crash, you go flying out of the car. Let me demonstrate that now. No Mega Drive test would be complete without Street Fighter. There are so many iconic characters in Street Fighter, such as Chun-Li and Ken. So cool that they even made them into drinks. This is a peach flavour sparkling tea, and this is a white grape flavour sparkling tea. Both delicious. Now, I don't remember the buttons of this game whatsoever, but as it's an old fighting game, we can probably just spam them all, and it will go okay. Nobody is a match for Chun-Li's kicks. Punch, kick, big kick. I'm not much of a fighting game player, but I would like to try Street Fighter a little bit more. But the point of this video is to test the performance, and it runs beautifully. And on this note, I think it's a good time to put down the console and say, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it was useful for you. If it was, please like the video and share a comment about anything you'd like to recommend for future videos. I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to buy your own Retroid Pocket 5 so that you too can play Mega Drive games as well as many other systems on the go, check out the affiliate link in the description, which will take you to the official Retroid store, the same place I bought this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Hello everyone! Welcome back to another episode about the Retroid Pocket 5. Today we're going to look at Minecraft on the Retroid Pocket. I bought Minecraft back when it was in alpha, after seeing videos from CNanners and the Yogscast on YouTube. That must be around 15 years ago, and I don't think I've played it for around 10 years. But this would be a fantastic device to play Minecraft on, so I'd like to get back into it. The Retroid Pocket 5 comes with Pojav Launcher installed by default, which I've opened here. So by pressing the play button after signing in, I can play the Java version of Minecraft directly on the Retroid Pocket 5. No further installations are necessary from stock. And let's create a new world and let's jump into a game of Java Minecraft. By turning on the debug settings and hiding the GUI, we can see the frame rate up here, 142 frames per second. I'll run around, chop down some trees and make a little building and we'll see how the frame rate is. Right now we're running at around 359 frames per second. We have a really nice looking mountain over there. Let's run over there and see the frame rate again. The graphics are set to fast and the render distance is set to 10 chunks. Let's change the graphics to fancy. And now once again, we'll keep an eye on the frame rate. It looks like we're getting well over 100 frames per second. Now at the top of the mountain, looking all around, the frame rate is never dropping below 100 frames per second. It's loading in chunks far away. This is a really good experience. It's very smooth, very nice to control with the controller, and I have a lot of faith that this will run really well. One thing that I want to do is I want to load in a texture pack. When I used to play Minecraft 10 years ago, I always imported a texture pack called the Svax BD Craft texture pack. So if we go to the title screen, go to Options, Resource Packs, I've added in a couple of resource packs here, but I can't get them working. I tried the 128 times texture pack and it didn't work. I then tried the 64 times and no matter what I do, it just doesn't apply. I cannot get the texture pack working. So now we're going to change from the Java version of Minecraft to the Bedrock version of Minecraft from the Android store. In the Google Play Store, you can buy the Minecraft game. I think it costs around $10 or maybe less, but there are a lot of in-app purchases with the Bedrock version. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's so easy and convenient to grab tons of texture packs that you might want to use, but you do have to pay for all of them individually. So launching into the Minecraft game, this is the Bedrock version from the Android Play Store, we can go to the marketplace. They do offer a monthly subscription, and right now I have the trial of that subscription, but unfortunately it doesn't cover everything, and it doesn't cover the texture pack that I want. If we search up here in the search box, I will search for BD Craft. This is the texture pack I'd like to use, Pure BD Craft, and it's going to cost me 4,401, which is around $3. So I just purchased the texture pack, and now all I have to do is choose download, and it will download and install the texture pack for me. The download has now finished after a few seconds. I can choose activate textures, come into the global resources, go down to my packs, and here it is. So I'll activate Pure BD Craft. I can also activate Pure BD Craft HD UI. And now when we get into the game, you can see that the texture pack has successfully updated and we now have the Svax BD Craft texture pack that I wanted. When it comes to general performance between the Java and Bedrock versions, I didn't notice much of a difference because they both run at a huge frame rate, way above the 60 Hz that this screen's capable of displaying. So if you want to play Minecraft for the performance, I would suggest just sticking with the Pojav launcher that comes with the device. If, however, you want to install a lot of modifications, you have two choices. You can stick with the Pojav launcher and you can download the mods for free and try and install them. However, in my case, I wasn't able to do it. When I played Minecraft on the computer, it was really easy. You just drag and drop the files and it works correctly. However, for some reason with the RP5, when I dragged and dropped the files into the right folders and loaded them into the game with the Pojav launcher, they just simply didn't work. It might be something you can get to work if you put more effort into it, but if you want to do it simply and easily, I'd suggest the Bedrock launcher. You do have to pay money for the game and you do have to pay for extras as well, but everything just runs perfectly. Is that a zombie over there? I just started this new game and there's a zombie right on the beach. Get him. Get him with the sapling. Go for a swim. I think he just wants to swim. Whoa, look at the moves. Is this meant to happen? I just started a new world and I've got a swimming, raving zombie on the beach. Well, we'll let him play around like that for a while. He seems like he's having fun. On that note, thank you for watching this video, everyone. I know I didn't go crazily in depth with this, but I just wanted to show some key differences between the Pojav launcher and the Bedrock version. They both work really well. Great frame rates, great smooth experiences. It's just going to come down to, do you want to modify things yourself for free, or do you want to just pay a little bit of money and have everything work perfectly for you? I can't stop watching that zombie. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, please subscribe, and if you'd like to buy your own Retroid Pocket 5 console yourself and watch dancing, raving beach zombies yourself like this, you can check out the affiliate link in the description and buy it from the official Retroid website, just like I did with this one. Thank you very much. See you next time. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. I'm now back at my home in Korea and ready to bring lots of great Retroid Pocket 5 content to you. Tomorrow I'm going to be updating the Retroid Pocket 5 from my pre-production software to retail software, and when I do so I will be filming my setup guide for everybody. That has been the most requested video so far, and I'm very excited to show you how I've got this device running beautifully. Before we begin today, I just want to say a huge thank you to Airbending Panda for the super thanks on my previous video. It really means a lot to me, and I will keep trying my best to deliver helpful information to everyone. Today, we're going to be looking at emulating PSP games, probably one of the most perfect systems to emulate on a device like the Retroid Pocket 5, as it's very similar to the original hardware. The first game we're jumping into today is Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. It looks fantastic on this device. Boom! Why are you running from me? You have a gun! Come back! I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. Next up, we're jumping into Tekken 6. I used to play Tekken 3 down my local arcade. I was a big fan of the man with the hair. I don't know his name, I just call him the man with the hair. This guy, Paul, the man with the really big hair. I like how in Street Fighter everyone has a really cool name like M. Bison and Chun-Li, and in this game it's just Miguel, Paul, Steve, Dave. This game's quite dark. Let me bring up the brightness. I mentioned in a previous video, I'm really not a fighting game player, so I don't know any of the combos or anything like that, so I'm just spamming the buttons. I forgot to turn the FPS counter on the screen for this video, but I'll just tell you everything runs at 60 perfectly. You can see it's so smooth. Well, Christy's got some dance moves. If you like this game and you can play it well, you're really going to enjoy it on here because it runs perfectly and it looks really good on this screen too. Much better than it looked on the original PSP. You can't hit me if I'm jumping. Oh, she can. Oh, this is close. Oh, she beat me! Hey, that's a foul move. She just took my leg away. Wow, even on beginner mode, I lost. I will save you all from my horrible fighting game performance, and let's move on to another game. This one runs excellently. Next up, we have Wipeout Pure. I was never a racing game fan as a kid, but when it came to racing games, I did prefer these futuristic ones to the more realistic ones. Again, everything runs beautifully here. I really like how pushing the triggers opens the flaps on the back. You'll see if I move the left trigger, it opens the left flap. Moving the right trigger opens the right flap, and it helps you drift around. I think that's a nice touch that you don't see in many other games. Even with tons of explosive animations on the screen, it's running beautifully. For anybody wondering how I have this set up, this is PPSSPP. I prefer using the app itself to the RetroArch core because it's very easy with one button to jump into save states and change the settings. I just really like this application. So jumping into the settings, the rendering resolution is set to 4 times native, which is 1080p, matching the screen of the Retroid Pocket 5. I've also played around with anti-aliasing to make it more sharp, but I didn't notice much of a difference in sharpness, and it did noticeably tank the performance. So I am just leaving this off. Like in my PlayStation 1 video, once again we have Parappa the Rapper. And I still have no idea how to score points on this game, but the songs are just bangers. You'll see here, you rapping, I'm always going to be awful. I've tried so many different techniques and no matter what I do, I fail. Woo! Uh-oh, I failed. No matter what I do in this game, whether I follow the audio and the rhythm, or I follow the animations on the screen, I always fail. If anyone knows how to play this game, please let me know because it's just impossible. Next up, we're jumping into Gran Turismo. The only car we can afford is the Renault Megane, so that's what we're going to be using. Let's change the camera to a nice behind view. Gran Turismo is the game for people who are really into racing, as it's more of a simulation than other arcadey racing games. I'm not personally too much into cars or racing, so this isn't really the game for me. For me, it's a little bit slow. I'd rather play something cartoony like Auto Modelista, or something futuristic like Wipeout that we played earlier. But for somebody wanting a more realistic simulation experience, growing up, this was definitely the go-to game. Oh, I've just written my car off, so let's go to another game. This is Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai. I'm a huge fan of the Dragon Ball Z series, so let's pick a character. I will pick Vegeta because he's the coolest one, and it looks like we're fighting Teen Gohan from the Cell Saga. I don't know the controls, but one thing I have figured out is that you can just power up like this, and I assume we can then do something cool. Okay, I'm at max power. Fire something. Oh, I missed. Power up and fire. Oh, what's this? I don't know what it is, but it looks amazing. Woo! Oh, this game is cool already. So it seems like circle, or A in this case, shoots fireballs, and that's what we're powering up. At least that's how it seems. So power up and shoot a fireball. Watch this. Oh, that's amazing. Now, this is my kind of fighting game. More than Tekken or Street Fighter. I really like the cel-shaded graphics, the cartoon comic book style. This is awesome. Talking about cartoony styles, this is the Simpsons game. I'm pretty sure I played almost this entire game with one of those demo units at a store where you can just play the console in the shop. I'm pretty sure I almost finished the whole thing in the store. Once again, you won't have any problems running this game. It will run beautifully. It'll be a great experience with a great screen. The only problem with this game in particular is it doesn't really have camera control. I remember when this game came out, there were lots of bad reviews about not being able to control the camera. All you can do is just push the left bumper to reset the camera, but that's it. So this is a game I think is going to be hard for me to get back into without the camera control. Maybe somebody made a mod for camera control, that would be amazing. I'll look into that, but without camera control, I'm probably not going to play this game anymore. I just wanted to show you that it runs flawlessly. And on the topic of cartoony games again, I want to show you a game I covered once before very briefly in a previous video, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force, one of my favorite games growing up, and definitely my favorite PSP game. I love all of these graphics and animations. It makes you feel like you're in the TV show rather than just playing a game. Especially as this game is quite old now, it was really impressive at the time. I have probably sunk hundreds of hours into this game in my life, and I'm ready to do it again. So if you'd like to play PSP on a more modern console with a fantastic screen, the Retroid Pocket 5 is perfect for it. I didn't even bother putting an FPS counter on this video because everything just runs perfectly. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and if you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5 so that you too can play PSP and many other systems on the go, then check out my affiliate link in the description. It'll take you to the official Retroid website, the same place I bought this one. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another one. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Today we're going to be checking out some Wii U games, one of the most powerful systems we can emulate on the Retroid Pocket 5. Before we begin, I want to say a huge thank you to Seth Morvala for his €5 super thanks on the previous video. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Today's video is being recorded in 4K 60 frames per second instead of 30. I had some comments about this, and I think it's a good idea to show the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS games. So do you like the 4K 60? Is it too smooth? Let me know in the comments below. I just updated my unit from pre-production to retail, and I'm happy to report all of the battery issues are fixed. Now jumping into Cemu, the Wii U emulator, you can see it's empty because I have to reinstall everything. So let's go through it together quickly by pushing the cog at the top, going to General Settings, Add Game Path, and now I'm going to add where my ROMs are located. So for me that's under ROMs, and then the Wii U folder. I'll choose Use this folder, Allow, and then the app should populate with all of my games. If you watched my previous setup guide, you know we need to do a few things to set up an emulator. After adding your games, we want to use turnip drivers. As far as I'm aware, we cannot use turnip drivers with the Android version of Cemu. We want to scale to 1080p, but the Wii U console is new enough that it already looks great on the screen, so we can skip this step. So with turnip drivers being unavailable, the scale being fine already, we can skip to setting up the controller now. So going into the settings, going down to Input Settings, Controller 1, we need to emulate a kind of Wii U controller. I'm going to just choose the Wii U gamepad as I feel it works well with the touchscreen Retroid Pocket 5. And now we'll go through matching the buttons. So we have A, B, X, Y, we can match to A, B, X, Y. Left bumper, left trigger, right trigger, plus, minus. We'll map the D-pad. The left axis, so the left stick. The right axis will be the right stick. And then we have some options for blow mic, show screen, and home. I'm going to skip these for now, but feel free to set them to something. We do still have this button to work with. Now that everything's set up, let's jump into some games. I'll turn on the floating icon so we can see the FPS over here. And now that I'm recording at 60 frames per second, you're going to notice if it's more than 30, hopefully. What better game to start with than Mario Kart 8? Mario Kart is the perfect game to just jump into for a few minutes, or to play with your friends. If you have any. You'll see all the shaders compiling at the top, so if you replay the same circuits again and again, they're going to already be compiled the next time and it's going to run more smoothly. So this first run through is going to be the most stuttery of all. I seem to be pushing the reverse button. Well, as I reverse around, hopefully you can see it's nice and smooth. We're at around 50 frames per second. We're getting stutters there as it compiles shaders. I'm hoping with this video being my first on YouTube above 30 frames per second, that you'll be able to see how smooth it is. And maybe those stutters will be even more noticeable as well. You can see we're stuttering a lot, but that's not the game lagging, that's the shaders compiling. Before I reset this unit from pre-production to retail, I went through all of this playing a few rounds and compiling shaders, and then once they'd compiled, future rounds were completely lag-free. We were at a very smooth 50 to 60 frames per second with no stuttering. Did I just overtake somebody? I'm overtaking everyone after I reversed backwards for like 20 seconds. Well, I guess this is a very beginner-friendly game. Imagine if I win this now, after what I did in the beginning. I'm now comfortably winning. I guess the first race is kind of a tutorial because they seem to be letting me win. No, leave me alone. Whenever you see a stutter, you'll see it compiling shaders up here. Oh, sorry, that was a bit hard to see. But whenever you see it freeze, you will see it compiling shaders. And once again, once it does it a couple of times, you're not going to see it again. I can tell you from experience that this game runs at a perfectly solid 59 or 60 frames per second. You just have to compile shaders the first time around, and then you're going to get a beautiful, and I mean beautiful experience of Mario Kart 8 on the Retroid Pocket 5. So let's jump into another game. Next we'll jump into Little Prince Boy, the Breeze Ariser HD version. And if you'd like to keep the FPS counter at the top right, but you want to get rid of the annoying little white bar, you can actually now turn off the floating icon, and it will keep the FPS counter. Once again, you'll see it compiling shaders, which is going to cause some stuttering. This is one thing I really love about an Android emulator, which I was going to talk about in my full review, which is that you don't need to use annoying gamepad controls to write names. You can just tap on the field and I can just use swipe typing like that. So in just one motion, I've written my name. I love that. For some games and some systems, my apartment's talking. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but the game looks beautiful. You can actually download shader cache files for certain games and certain systems. I did that before for some Switch games. You can download an already completely made shader cache file and drag it to your system. So then the game doesn't need to process the shader caches because they were already created. So if you're getting annoyed with the shader cache constantly compiling new shaders and stuttering your game, have a look into that and you might be able to find something to help you out. You can see the Wind Waker is running at 30 frames per second and it looks really beautiful. I included this in my previous video comparing the GameCube version to the Wii U version, and I mentioned how it does stutter a little bit compared to the GameCube counterpart. But look how beautiful this looks. It is breathtaking. As you run around, you can really feel the breath of the wild. In my comparison video, I did mention that I preferred the GameCube version. That was because this occasionally slows a little bit, and the GameCube version being older is just an extremely solid performer. And also I feel nostalgia for the GameCube version because I had that as a kid. Oops. But honestly, this runs really, really well. You can see we're not moving from 30 very much. The only time you'll see it drop down is when it's compiling shaders. But it's still overall a really nice experience, and this is one of the best looking games I've ever seen, especially on the OLED screen. So I definitely recommend giving a try to the Breathalyzer. Sounds like Breathalyzer, doesn't it? Also, this has been requested a lot, but I will be getting onto PS Vita games tomorrow, so watch out for that. Next we have the Little Prince Boy Exhale Off the Crazy. Regular viewers of my channel will know that I play this on the Secret Console. Secret Console. Most people prefer to play it on Wii U because it's easier to run, but I'm going to show you now the problem I'm having with my Wii U version. Open your eyes! My Wii U version just does this. It just goes yellow and nothing happens. I searched online about this a lot and it's a very widespread problem. This problem has been around for years. It's nothing to do specifically with the Retroid Pocket 5, it's just a common problem with the game. I'm sure I could probably find a solution if I kept researching, but honestly this game's running really nicely on the Secret Console, so I don't feel a need. Let's jump into Minecraft. Let's not jump into Minecraft Wii U Edition. That game doesn't work. So instead let me show you a really fun game that I'm sure no other YouTuber has covered. Scribblenauts Unlimited. This is a game you play when you just don't want to think at all. So this game is all about creating things by typing what you want to make. So for example, it says write an object to help Maxwell scrub the pig. So the farmer needs to scrub his pig. So we're going to choose our notepad. And I'll show you one of the issues you might run into on the Wii U, and that is this game expects you to be using the Wii U gamepad rather than the TV. So here it says use the notepad, and there's no notepad icon anywhere. So what we can do is click this tiny settings cog at the top left, and we can choose replace TV with pad. So this will replace the TV view with the gamepad handheld view. So when I do that, you're going to notice the notepad appear at the top right. So let's do that now. And now we have the notepad. This is clearly a game made for children, but you can have so much fun making anything you think of. You can create flying dragons, you can then get in your own flying death machine and battle it. You can do almost anything you think of, which is what makes this fun. You can also see it's clearly running at a very smooth 60 frames per second. It's very, very smooth. Let's make a giant robot dragon. Oh! And we can, of course, we can also ride the dragon. Let's dismount. Because I'm now going to fight this dragon. So what do I need? I guess I need a plane, but maybe I can get a fighter jet. Let's change to that instead. And you'll see the fighter jet has an option that the plane didn't, which is when I choose it, we have attack as an option. So if I fly over and choose the dragon and then choose attack, we're now fighting the dragon. Let's go! We lost. I didn't actually know you could lose in this game, so I learned something. This is clearly a game made for children, and it's not going to appeal to everyone, but I think it's pretty fun, especially when you want to just relax for a bit. Next, we're jumping into a little dinosaur's world of knitting, and this one's actually stuttering a lot as it loads in shaders. This one's running around 30 frames per second, but we're getting a lot of stutters when it says it's compiling the shaders, so I'm curious to see how it runs when we actually get into the game itself. Running around, it says we're getting a solid 30 frames per second, but it does feel a bit slow compared to the other games. Maybe that's just because they were running at 60, but I want to see how it feels in the game, because it does feel a little bit less smooth than the others. And with this video being 60 frames per second, I'm hoping that you can see it on YouTube as well. The cutscenes are really dropping in frames per second. Oh, and we also have no face. So that is something we're going to need to find a fix for, because right now we have a ghost face. I did test the first few levels of this game before I updated from pre-production software to retail software, and this was not a problem. I was able to see our little dinosaur friend's face fine. So I think what we'll do is we'll do one run through to compile shaders, and then I'll reset the game and we'll try again. So this game seems to be about running around, eating people, and then pooping them into yarn. I did try this game a couple of weeks ago, but I've already forgotten everything about it. And while the FPS counter looks high, it's really slowing a lot with the shaders. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to reset it and see if we can get our little friend's face back. We're jumping back into the game now. We should have the shaders compiled, at least for the first part of the level, and once again we have no face. So that's something I'm going to have to look into more, but you should see now there are less shaders being compiled, and our frame rate's pretty solid, around 45 to 60 frames per second, usually somewhere around 50. So if you can find a place online to download pre-compiled shaders, which I'm not sure if you can for the Wii U, but you definitely can for some systems, it's going to give you a fantastic experience. The Wii U is definitely one of the hardest consoles to emulate on this device, and it does it really well. It's certainly not perfect, and I wish we were getting a little bit more performance out of this. And just to test quickly, because I am running all of these tests in the standard performance mode, let's jump to high performance so that the console now sounds like a jet engine, and let's just see if we can boost up our frames at all. I will say immediately it feels smoother. Now we're compiling shaders again because I didn't get to this part of the level, but even though the frame rate is looking similar at the top, it feels very smooth. So you might want to think about whether it's worth turning up that performance mode for you, although you will introduce quite a lot of noise. This console is really quite noisy with the fan on, and I don't think I could ever play it this way unless I had headphones in. So I'm now going to turn that down so I'm not deafened anymore. Ah, lovely. And my final conclusion for this video about the Wii U is most games run really well. We do have some issues, such as Exhale of the Crazy not loading, and not having a face in this game. But as you saw in most of the games I showed you, the only real issue you will run into is compiling the shaders, which slows and stutters the performance a little bit. But once they are compiled, it's perfectly smooth, and the performance is lovely. So I hope this was helpful. I'll for sure make a follow-up video with more Wii U games in the future. If the video was helpful to you, please give me a like and consider subscribing below. Leave a comment if you'd like to say something as well, and if you'd like to buy your own Retroid Pocket 5 so that you too can play your own Wii U games on a tiny little device, then check out my affiliate link in the description below. It'll take you to the official Retroid website, which is the same place I bought this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for some PS Vita gameplay. See you tomorrow. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Yesterday I showed some Wii U emulation, and my conclusion was that it's brilliant, except for when it's compiling shaders, which makes it stutter and freeze. So today I'm going to show you how to fix that problem and how to have a brilliant experience emulating the Wii U. The Retroid Pocket 5, or whatever device you're using, compiles shaders when you run a game for the first time. So if you complete the same racetrack in Mario Kart 8 a few times, it will compile the shaders the first time and be stuttering, and the following games will be nice and smooth. If you go to this website in the description, you can download pre-compiled shader caches. These have been uploaded by users who already played and finished the games, so all of the shaders were compiled, so now we can copy over their shader cache file and we don't need to generate it ourselves. So this will completely remove all of the stuttering in games. You can choose which region your game files are in. I'm going to select USA. Then you can choose Download All to download all of the shaders. You can go through and choose just the ones you want, but the entire list is only around 300 megabytes. So I would suggest just grabbing all of them in case you want to use them later. This will download a zip file called shaders. So I'm going to open this in RAW, and now I'm going to unzip it by selecting it and choosing the up arrow. It will make a folder called shaders. I'll push OK. This will only take a few seconds. You can see it running along as I'm talking. Now we'll go to the Files app and find that shaders folder, open shader cache, transferable, and in here will be a lot of files. These are all the shader cache files. So by tapping on the icon for one of the files, it will select it. Then if you choose the three dots at the top right and choose select all, we will then tap the three dots again and choose move to. So we're going to move these into Cemu, our Wii U emulator. If you tap on the three lines at the top left, you can then scroll down to Cemu Debug. Here we'll go to the shader cache folder and then to transferable. You might already have a couple of files in here that you generated while playing games. If the games that you played were not on the list, you can just keep them. You can see I already have a couple of files I generated by playing games, but I'm now going to push the move button and move all of those downloaded pre-configured shaders into this folder. You will see two files couldn't be moved, and that's because I already generated them myself. So one idea would be to clear out this folder before you import any shaders. I'm going to find these two files that I generated by playing myself. I'm going to delete them, and then I'm going to move over the new pre-configured files. So to find the files, I'm going to choose the three dots at the top right, sort by, and then modified. Newest first or oldest first. We'll just see the ones that were not modified 1 minute ago. So I'll choose oldest first. And you can see those two files were modified around 20 minutes ago when I was running some tests for this video. And all of the other files were edited 1 minute ago. So I'm going to select those two files and delete them. Then I'm going to go back to my download folder, back to those files we just downloaded. If you remember, they were in shaders, shader cache, transferable. I'm going to grab these two files and move them once again to Cemu Debug, shader cache, transferable. Let's move them over. Now the downloaded folder is empty because they've all been moved into Cemu. And just before we jump into a game and I show you the difference that made, I have one more tip for you, which is if you choose the settings cog at the top right and go down to graphic packs, here you can download enhancements and modifications for all of your games. And it's so simple. All you have to do is just tap the download button up here. So tap the download button and it will download all of them right away. And then you have some options for all of your installed games. They don't have graphic packs for every single Wii U game, but you can see the ones that are available here. So for example, Mario Kart 8, I can tap on that. We have enhancements, graphics, and mods. So if we go to enhancements, we can make it contrasty, debanding, remove watermarks. Under graphics, this allows us to change the resolution. So by default, the Wii U is in 720p. And as I said in my last video, it looks fantastic. I don't see a need to increase it, but let's try it for testing purposes. So let's enable the graphic options. Let's change TV resolution to Full HD. Let's also change gamepad resolution to Full HD. Let's go back and go to mods. Let's turn on 60 frames per second split screen. I'm probably not going to do any split screen in this video, but just in case I want to try that in the future, I'll enable that now. And now with some graphics tweaks added and the shader cache applied, let's see what happens when we load up the game now. Now when you load up a game, you're going to see it's compiling the shaders before loading. This can take a little bit of time. That time it only took a few seconds, but you'll often find when loading a game for the first time with the pre-compiled shaders, it could take up to around 5 minutes. But that's only going to be the first time you do it. And it's going to erase any stutters while you play through the game. So I think it's definitely worth it. So we now have a 1080p version of Mario Kart 8 with all of the shaders pre-compiled, so we shouldn't see any stuttering while we play, but let's test it out. If you watched the video yesterday, you will have seen that often when I was going around corners, the game was stuttering and stopping, and at the top left it would say, compiling shaders. So let's see if that happens now. And let's also bring the FPS counter onto the screen too, and turn up the volume so we can hear if there are any audio glitches. We're running at around 36 frames per second, and the game feels a little bit slow. I'm not sure if that's because I increased the resolution to 1080p. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the original resolution and see if it feels faster or slower. Maybe I'm just misremembering the speed of the game. So we're going to go back into the settings, go to graphics packs, and you can see how many are applied by the little number in the icon. So on Mario Kart 8, we have 2 graphics packs applied. So I'll tap on that. You can see one is graphics and one is mods. So I'll go into graphics and turn the graphics options off. Once again, it compiled shaders, which only took a few seconds. My home is talking again. Okay, my apartment finally stopped talking to me, and we've turned off the graphic pack, so we're back to 720p. And I would say the 1080p only looked about 5% better at most. It didn't really look that much better because the Wii U already looks fantastic. As I drive around, no shaders have been compiled, which means I haven't had a single stutter or slowdown. We are completely locked at 58 frames per second. There is no glider, which is something I noticed. I had a comment on my previous video asking shouldn't there be a glider, and I think there should, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But if you look at the frame rate, we're never going below 50, we're getting no stutters like we had before. This is a fantastic experience. So if you follow this video and you install those shaders, you're going to love this experience, I swear. Woo! See? Link agrees! Now let's jump into Black Ops 2. This was requested on the previous video, so if you have requests for future videos, make sure to leave them in the comments. Again, we need to spend some time compiling shaders before we play, but if you ask me, I would much rather get this done before playing the game and then have a smooth experience, rather than it constantly making shaders while you're trying to play. It seems like we've crashed out of that game. Black Ops 2 doesn't seem to be playable. I'm not sure why that is, I'll have to look into it later, but unfortunately that's not working. So let's jump into a different game for now. So when you can't play Black Ops 2, you jump into the next best thing, the closest thing I have, Kirby. I don't know what I'm doing, but this is fun. This looks beautiful on the OLED screen. I've seen some comments on the videos lately that some of you have had your Retroid Pocket 5 arrive now, and that you were surprised how good the screen looks, because it really looks better than it looks in these videos. I really hope everyone watching this receives their Retroid Pocket 5 soon. Especially those of you who used my affiliate link. It seems that this is mostly a touchscreen game. I've never played this before, but it is quite interesting to remember that the Wii U was a touchscreen device. I guess it was kind of an evolution of the DS. This game is really cute, but a little bit boring, so I'm going to move on to something else. Next, we're going to jump into Lego Superheroes, so once again we're compiling shaders. The only real problem with this process of compiling shaders is that once you experience playing like this, you're never going to want to play a game that doesn't pre-compile shaders ever again. It's quite a common experience with emulation that as you run around a game, it's occasionally going to compile shaders and slow down and stutter a little bit. So once you experience something like this, where everything is compiled and you know you're never going to face a stutter, it's really hard to go back to a game where you do stutter. The sound of this game is completely broken. I've not experienced that with any other Wii U game. The sound's just not working. And I've also been sitting through this introduction for what feels like about 10 minutes now. I feel like there should be a way to skip it and it's just not working, but I refuse to watch any more of this, so I'm going to another game. I'm curious if we can fix Yoshi's face, because in yesterday's video he had no face. So going into the graphics packs, we have a few options. We can change the resolution, which I don't think will do anything, but we'll try it out. We have shadow resolution, so I'll increase that as well. And we have a mod to change the world map to 60 frames per second, which is something I definitely want to do. So let's jump back into the game. I'm not expecting this to fix it. And by increasing the resolution everywhere, we're probably going to run at a lower frame rate, but I just want to see if it fixes anything. So let's let it compile the shaders and see how it goes. Okay, I'm not joking. This literally took about 20 minutes to load all of the shaders. I really hope this works. And I don't know why it was so long. Let's jump into the game that we saved yesterday. Oh, we're running in slow motion, which is probably because I increased all of the resolutions. I just want to see if the face is working. I expected that it would be quite laggy because we did increase the game from 720p to 1080p, and then we also increased details from 100% to 200%. Let's just jump in and see if our little friend's got a face or not. No, he still has no face, so that was 20 minutes of my life I'm not getting back. Please like the video. Oh, I'm so tired. As you can see, you really do need to play around with these settings. I'll keep the 60 frames per second world map on and lower the resolution of everything else. Now let's load up one more time and see if it takes 20 minutes again. As all of the shaders were compiled last time, you can see it only took a few seconds this time. Thank God. I've lowered everything back down to 720p, back to the original settings. So let's see if we can maintain 60 frames per second now with that 60 frame per second mod. So running around, we're not at 60 frames per second, we're at around 40, but at least it is above 30. So we're at least seeing some kind of improvement there. Here we are at around 60 frames per second. It looks very smooth. Let's jump into the level. And with all of the shaders compiled, we shouldn't see any stuttering at all from here on out. We just have to forget about the fact we don't have a face. And I can tell you, this is much smoother than yesterday. Yesterday, when I ran through this game for the first time, we were compiling shaders quite a lot. Whereas now all of the shaders are already compiled for us, so we are just very, very smoothly running through this. I think it's definitely worth taking the time to compile those shaders. And I'm hopeful that it wouldn't be 20 minutes if you didn't increase the resolution of everything like I did. Let's go grab some more wool. Even when activating certain events in the game, we don't get any stutters because all of the shaders have already been applied. Oh, well that was a fail. Anyway, this game is running perfectly. I wasn't looking at the frames per second, but it definitely felt like it was in the 50s. It felt very smooth. And as this video you're watching now is in 60 frames per second, you should be able to see it in a similar way to how I do. Let's once again jump into the little Prince boy, the Breezerizer. Again, yesterday this was running pretty well at around 30 frames per second, but it was stuttering when it was loading in shaders. This is probably going to take around 2 minutes, but then the following times you load up the game, it should be very quick. Also, before we get into the game, let's just check out what our graphic pack options are. So under enhancements, we can make it more contrasty, add negative textures, and no SSAO. I'm not sure what these mean by the name, but if you tap on it, you can see some more information. Removes the SSAO of the game, which are these little blurred shadows around Link when you're standing under a tree, for example. So you can go through, read what they do, and choose if you want to use them. You can see the default resolution on this game is 1080p. Which is interesting because Mario Kart was 720p, so maybe it's a game-by-game basis. You can choose to remove the HUD if you want to take screenshots without anything in front of the screen. And I did find an option which says it can fix slowdowns on weaker hardware. I'm not sure if that applies to what we have here, but I thought there's no harm in turning that on and seeing how it goes. So let's jump back into the game again. You'll see this time it's loading the shaders very quickly. It only takes a long time the first time. And I have to say again that this screen just looks incredible, and this game in particular looks unbelievably good on this screen. So let's keep an eye on the FPS counter at the top right and let's run around the map. I'm going to swing the camera around, so I'm really stressing it as much as I can. You will see there are no stutters at all, because usually those stutters occur when you're loading in the new textures, but we already did that before we loaded the game. So now as we run around, you're going to see the FPS is pretty stable. It does drop to around 24 frames per second around here. I find that happens every time I start this game. But you'll see for the most part, it's doing really well and sticking at 30 frames per second. I've started this game probably more than 20 times in order to do tests and record videos. And this starting island has to be one of my favorite places in any game ever. It's just beautiful. We just fell down to 20 FPS while spinning the camera around. That's the lowest we got. And as I said in a previous video, I still do prefer the GameCube version of this because it runs just so flawlessly. But after compiling those shaders, this is definitely a nice experience. You'll see the frames per second is mostly sticking around 30 frames per second. And I will make a follow-up later where I get into combat and further into the game to test how it goes, but with the shaders compiled, you should expect this level of performance throughout the game. So the conclusion of this video is that you should download the shaders in the link provided below. You can search the internet to see if you can find more as well. I highly recommend installing them how I showed you to do it. And why not grab the graphics packs built into Cemu as well, just to see if you want to make any tweaks while you're at it. I hope that will help you get the best out of Wii U emulation on the Retroid Pocket 5. And if this video was helpful to you, please give me a like. Leave a comment below with anything you'd like to say. I would love it if you could also subscribe to the channel for daily Retroid Pocket 5 content. And if you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5, follow the affiliate link in the description, which will take you to the official Retroid website, which is the same place I bought this one. They are now starting to ship them more frequently, and I hope if you do order one, you'll be able to get it very soon. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again tomorrow, where I will be covering the PS Vita, which has been a nightmare. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Today we're going to be looking at the PS Vita. This is by far the most infuriating system I've ever set up on anything ever. I didn't see many other YouTubers cover this system, and I now understand why. It has been a nightmare getting this set up. I do have a few games working now, so I am going to show you them. But if PS Vita is a system you don't really care about that much, don't even bother. I've been working on this for so many hours, for days. It's been really stressful. But let's jump into Vita 3K, the PS Vita emulator. You'll see it's actually color-coded with how well each game can run in Vita 3K. The games that are green should be playable and work well, but in my experience, many of them just crash. I think I finally fixed that issue, so let's jump into some games now, and if it does work as I expect it will, I'll let you know how I fixed it. So let's jump into Persona 4 Golden. This is meant to be one of the best games on PS Vita. The audio has this kind of crackling sound going on. I'll see if you can hear it if I put it close to my microphone. It kind of sounds like a bunch of tiny horses galloping around. It's not very pleasant, but the game itself is running pretty well. I haven't played this game before, but running around, it seems like we're in super speed. It feels like we're running at 200 miles per hour. If you play this game, let me know if this is normal, because it seems too fast. For today's tests, all of the games are running at the native resolution of the PS Vita. I'm not upscaling to 1080p, because it's been so hard even to open these games. I'm scared to change any setting right now. I finally, after many days, got this working, so I'm not touching anything until this video is done. I like the soundtrack, it's like old Japanese city pop. This is my first time playing a Persona game, so I'm not actually sure what happens in this game at all. I don't even know what kind of game it is. But it's been requested a lot, and it looks very cute. Oh, we have a weapon now, we can attack. This game seems really cool. This is just the beginning of the game, but the game is very solidly at 30 frames per second. And due to the style of the game, I don't see it dipping at all. So if you want to play Persona 4 Golden, I'm going to say this is very playable on the Retroid Pocket 5, and let's jump into the next game. Borderlands 2 is running at a very smooth 60 frames per second, but I'm getting wrecked. This is the tutorial, so I thought it would be nice and easy. I was just walking around, mindlessly shooting. But now I'm getting spawn camped. I'm running this at the native resolution of the PS Vita, so this is not 1080p. But the graphics look really nice, and I don't feel the need to raise them. Yeah, I've never played Borderlands before, and I don't know why this thing is unkillable at level 1. What am I doing wrong? What am I meant to be doing? My gun does no damage. The next game we're going to try is Gravity Rush. Again, a game that was recommended a lot on my channel, so we're going to see how this runs. First, we're going to drop this apple to the ground to kick off the game. Maybe that's the gravity part. And now we're going to rush around. So I guess this game really puts its name together like Minecraft. Follow the mysterious man. I don't think this game is giving a very good message to kids. I've never played this game before either, and my initial impression is it's very weird. I like the style of the game, it's very comic book style. Even when you go into the start menu, I really like that transition. The way it zooms out and then it's like you're in a comic book, that's really cool. It seems like we're at a pretty solid 30 frames per second again. I would like to upscale this to 1080p to see how it looks, but I'll do that once I finish all of my testing because it has been really difficult to get the games running without the app just crashing. But as I said before, I think I have found the solution. So when we get to the end of today's testing, I'm going to share that solution with you. So please stick around to the end to see how to get this running, because it took me a while to figure this one out. R to float. Oh, that's pretty cool. I've never played this game before. I see why it's called Gravity Rush. You're kind of playing with gravity. This is a pretty cool concept. Controlling gravity, floating in 0G. That's pretty cool. I've never played a game like this before. It's very unique. Yeah, this game is cool. I'm going to put more time into this. But for now, let's get on to the next game. As I said earlier, these little colors tell you how well the game's going to run. So I downloaded Dragon Quest Builders. This is the American version, and it's yellow. That means it's not going to be completely playable. So I also downloaded the European version. The Vita 3K website says that that is playable. The Vita 3K website has a compatibility list, and I'll link this in the description. It shows what each color code means in terms of each game's playability. So you can scroll down and see the games, or you can just search here for what you're looking for. So if we search for Gravity Rush, for example, you'll see there are a few different versions, and this relates to the region. So one might be the American region, one might be the European region, one might be Japanese or another Asian country, and you'll see if you get this version 24, it's not going to be playable. But if you get version 35 or 11, they are going to be playable. So you need to be careful about the games that you get, and using this official compatibility list will really help you build a library of working games. Jumping now into Mortal Kombat. Apparently we're fighting against Freddy Krueger. I didn't know he was in the game. So let's get into the game. Let's do what we do in all fighting games and just spam all the buttons. I set this to very easy mode just so I can see how it runs. I don't want to get destroyed while I'm trying to check the frame rate. And the frame rate's pretty solid between 50 and 60 frames per second. It looks good to me, but of course this video is in 60 frames per second, so you can judge for yourself. Okay, I think the difficulty might be a little bit too easy. That was the worst finish him of all time, but he looks cool doing it. Let me just have one more fight to check if the difficulty is too easy or not. Oh, how can she react to these moves? I'm too talented. From one fighting game to another, let's jump into a fighting game where we can play as Goku. So I'm Goku and my teammate is Luffy. We're against Naruto and I didn't see who the other person was. But there's some very interesting characters in this game. I think they're all from the Shonen Jump manga. I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh is from Shonen Jump, so I wonder if you could be a Yu-Gi-Oh character. I'd love to be Joey Wheeler in this game, running around going, meow. I'm hearing very slight audio stutters again, which seems to be quite consistent in PS Vita. But once again, it seems like we have a very solid 30 frames per second. Well, I have no idea what I'm doing in this game, but it looks really cool. I'm not sure what any of the controls are. I would like to throw a fireball if possible. I'm just getting destroyed by Naruto. Naruto, please! I'm sorry! Ooh! Oh, this game is cool. I'm not sure how old this game is, but I would have loved this as a kid. I would have been playing this all day long. The only button I can figure out is jumping. I'm very good at jumping now. Watch me jump like a gazelle. You got this, Luffy. This is one of the coolest games I've ever seen. Okay, sorry, Luffy, I'm getting in there. Okay, I'm getting out of there. Whee! Leave me alone. Whoa! How did I do a Kamehameha? Oh, I finally did something cool and immediately got knocked out. This game's really cool, but let's jump into another one. This is Sword Art Online Hollow Realization. I liked the Sword Art Online anime, so I'm looking forward to trying this. I'm just curious how it works. If I die in this game... Am I going to die in real life? If I die in this game, does my YouTube channel get deleted? No! Are you ready, Ryan? You know it. Let's go. Okay, I don't need instructions. I know how to button bash. You're stunned. Uh-oh. So the frame rate now is quite consistent around 30 frames per second. It is sometimes going down a little bit to around 24. This game is definitely less smooth than some of the previous ones, which have been a very smooth 50 to 60. But after loading in the shaders and getting settled, it does seem quite solidly at 30 frames per second. I probably shouldn't have skipped the tutorial because we are doing 0 damage. So I feel like I'm meant to be doing something right now. But honestly, I am so happy right now that we have so many games working because I've been ripping my hair out trying to get PS Vita working this past week. So let me tell you now how I got this working because it was not easy, but it actually was obvious in the end. So for the past week, whenever I've tried to open PS Vita games, They mostly just crash. I get crashed out back into the home screen like this. I've had so many problems with games not loading, crashing, just not working well. It has been awful. So I am here to save you guys, to let you know what I did wrong so that you don't make the same mistakes as me. I think the first mistake I made was when you install Vita 3K, it asks you where do you want to install it to. And instead of using the default location, I changed it to my Vita ROMs folder. So the folder I keep my ROMs in, inside the SD card, had all of the save files, the game files, everything all mashed together. And that was not good. So if you install Vita 3K on your Retroid Pocket 5, just keep the default location, don't play with it. But the main way I got everything working was by following my own rules. If you've been watching the channel for a while now, you'll be familiar with this. My general rules for emulation on the Retroid Pocket 5. And general rule number 1, use turnip drivers if they're available. And for this system, Vita 3K, you can use turnip drivers. When I was using the built-in Qualcomm driver, it was crashing every game. So what we need to do is use the turnip driver. I tried the latest turnip driver rather than my tried and tested and true 9v2 driver, and it still kept crashing. So what did I do? I went into the settings and I used my 9v2 driver, the one I recommend in all my videos, and now everything's working fine. So if you have a Retroid Pocket 5, please just use the 9v2 turnip driver. It really will just save you a lot of headaches. So I'll just show you how to do that now. In the top menu, go to Configuration and go to Settings. We have a lot of settings, and this is quite hard to navigate because you need to put your finger on this little scroll bar and scroll it the opposite way to what you would think. It's quite a hard to navigate app. Along the top, we have a lot of options, but we're going to go to GPU, which is the Graphics Processing Unit. So tap GPU a few times. It's quite a fiddly app. So when you open the GPU menu, yours should look like this. And we need to change a couple of things. So first of all, the first option, Back-End Renderer, says OpenGL. And as I've said in my other videos, we want to use Vulkan in pretty much all of our emulation apps. So let's change OpenGL to Vulkan, and now we'll get a new option which says Add Custom Driver. You're going to choose that and then navigate through your files to find where you downloaded the turnip driver. And I will put it in the description of this video. So find your turnip driver. The one I highly recommend is this one. Turnip version 24.3.0 R9v2. So choose that turnip driver. And then I found it didn't automatically select it. It just still said default here. So where it says default, choose that second drop-down option, and from here you should see your turnip drivers listed. I tried a couple, and the first one just made everything crash. So please stick with the 9v2 driver. So from here, choose that 9v2 driver. It will tell you that you need to reset Vita 3K. First of all, we need to grab the little scroll wheel and push it up. This is quite fiddly. You need to do it a few times until you come to the bottom of the screen where you can choose Save. Because this is quite a fiddly application, I do mash this about 5 times just to be sure, then hit close, and you're now going to want to restart the app. So just scroll up and drag it away, open it again, and now you should be using the turnip driver and all of those problems should be solved. So if this helps you, please give me a like and consider subscribing to the channel, because it took me days of ripping my hair out to get to this solution, and now everything's finally running well. You might also want to go into the controls, overlay, and just disable the overlay so you don't see the on-screen controls. And while I'm here, I'll also go into configuration, settings, GPU. I will change this internal resolution upscaling. I'll just keep pushing the arrow until we get to 1920 by 1088 2 times, which is pretty much 1080p. It's actually a tiny bit higher than 1080p. So I'm curious to test this out. I'll let you guys know how it goes, but if you want to be safe, just leave the scaling at 1 times. It looked fine. And I hope you guys have a good experience with the PS Vita on the Retroid Pocket 5, because it is definitely the trickiest system to set up. So once again, I hope this video was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel because we're getting close to 4,000 subscribers in my first month, which is wild. I'm so grateful to everyone who subscribed. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5 so that you can emulate PS Vita and other systems, I'll leave my affiliate link in the description of this video, which will take you to the official Retroid website, where you can pick up your one at the same place I got mine. Thank you once again for watching. This was by far my most difficult video to make by a long way, so I really do appreciate anyone who gives me a like and shares an encouraging comment, not to just rip my hair out and give up. Thank you so much. See you again tomorrow for hopefully a much easier video. Bye. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. I'm very excited today because we are going to test Dreamcast games. I've always wanted to own a Dreamcast, but unfortunately I never did. I used to go to stores where you could play them in the store, and I would spend so much time playing games like Crazy Taxi and the various fighting games you could try. So today, I'm finally going to get my chance to play some Dreamcast. Let's jump right into Crazy Taxi. Out of all those games you could play in stores, this is definitely the game that I've spent the most time on. I think Dreamcast probably has my favorite graphics of any console ever. I love that it still has that old cartoonish vibe, but it's from that era when games were starting to get more realistic, when they were becoming 3D and beginning to look more lifelike, but before the very realistic simulations we have today. They've still got that cute, fun, cartoony vibe, but with the 3D elements. I really love it. I seem to be stuck. This is going to have to be my last customer, because I feel like I can keep saying to myself, one more ride, for about 3 hours. So I do need to move on to some other games, so let's just drop off this person and move on to another game. There you go, mate. Nice. Enjoy your date. Our next game is Dead or Alive 2. This is probably the next most common game I used to see in stores that you could play. Let's go for Tina Armstrong from the USA. Oh yes, those classic USA words right there. Whoa, what's this? Body slam! This is like a WWE game. Oh, she hit her with the attitude adjustment. John Cena stole his finisher from this game. Again, I love these graphics. They're 3D and kind of realistic, but still cartoony. I have my real doubts that this woman is American. Ow. I think I'm dead. I was trying to figure out the buttons for something and I got knocked out. This game's also really fun. The moves in this game are so cool. Kick her! Hit her with the roundhouse kick! She hit me about 7 times while I was in mid-air. That's not fair! This game's really fun. I'm actually not the biggest fighting game fan, but this is one of the most fun fighting games I've played in a while. Jumping into another fighting game now, Marvel vs. Capcom. I tried this game out about 10 minutes ago before filming this video, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's pick some characters. We'll go for Cyclops. I like Rogue, and who else do I like? I like Spider-Man. So this game, you have 3 fighters that you can kind of tag in and out. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure what any of the buttons do, except Y is definitely firing lasers. But I love the art style again, and it's so smooth. One thing about these Dreamcast games is they run so smooth. I realize now I forgot to put the FPS counter on the screen, so let me do that now. Here you can see we're at around 58, 60 frames per second. It feels very, very fluid. If there's a way to choose when you tag in and tag out people, then this game's really cool. I feel like this game deserves more of my time. This is Soul Calibur 2, possibly the most famous Dreamcast game. This is my first time ever playing it, but I think it was the game that actually shipped with the Dreamcast when you bought it new. And it's a game that I've seen a lot. Even though I never played this game, this style looks so nostalgic. Again, it has that Dreamcast style I love. Everything's so rounded. And everything runs so smoothly. I can smash, I can poke him. He's knocked out and I'm still just attacking. Where's your sportsmanship? This rod will be your doom. I've said that before. Again, I'm making no effort to learn any buttons. I'm just smashing all of them. Why would you need to learn what a button does when you can just push them all? This game gets insanely high reviews. I think critics gave this game something ridiculous, like 98%. So definitely an incredible game here. And if you're a fan of fighting games, I'm sure you would love this. I'm not the biggest fighting game fan, which might surprise you as this video has been mostly fighting games so far. So I'm now going to move on to another game, but definitely a recommended game for anybody. Let's go to Shinjuku, Tokyo, now for a driving game. This is Metropolis Street Racer. Again, I love the look of this game. It reminds me a little bit of Auto Modelista, but a little bit more realistic. You can control the camera by simply just pushing up to zoom in, or down to zoom out. It's so simple. Looking at the back view, you can check me out. You can watch me turn the wheel. Here I am, hello. Oops, I don't know how to reverse. How do I go back? Somebody help! Hello? I'm turning the wheel. I'm stuck, help me! Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, X is reverse. Okay, that's weird. It's okay, we can still win, we can still win. Only 44 seconds behind now, we got this. By the way, I'm running this in the Redream emulator. There is also the Flycast emulator. Both come with the Retroid Pocket 5. I read online that Flycast has more features, but I just really like the way Redream looks. It's extremely simple to set up, and you'll be playing games in no time. I actually also purchased the premium version, which allows 1080p and 4K resolutions. Let's jump into a different style of game now, Virtua Tennis 2. Of course, we have to be Tim Henman, Scourge of the United Kingdom. I picked this up just before recording this video to check it works, and I was immediately having so much fun within seconds. This game is just immediate arcade fun. I think that's what the Dreamcast feels like to me. Everything feels very arcadey. It doesn't feel like a simulation. Everything feels very fun. It's like when games were fun, before everyone was tryharding on Warzone, or screaming at you in League of Legends. It's just fun. You just pick it up with no instructions, no control list, and immediately, within seconds, you're having fun. I didn't look up any controls for this, I'm just spamming the A button, and it's fun! So let me try different buttons. So this is camera. Let's try B. B and A seem the same. Let's try X. Oh, is that a lob? Oh, X is a lob. So I'm assuming B and A might be different hands, like backhand, forehand, perhaps. Or maybe I'm overestimating how complex this game is. Bang! Oh, this is fun. I can happily play this game. If I want to kill a bit of time on the bus or subway, this is the perfect game to just This is the perfect game to just load up and play for a few minutes. This was really fun. This is a great game. I could sit here and play these games for hours, but regular viewers of my channel will know that I like to keep things short and sweet and give a few tips along the way. So if you are going to use Redream, let me tell you something that was a problem for me, which was in the controls. So going to Input and going to Port A Retroid Pocket Controller, by default, it already mapped everything. So I thought I didn't need to do anything. It's already mapped. But there was a problem, which was it didn't map the trigger properly. So in driving games, when you want to use the trigger, or any other game where you might want to use the right trigger, it mapped it to some really random button. I'm not even sure what it was. I think it was one of the analog sticks. So up here where it says right trigger, just tap on that and then push the trigger. And then while you're at it, left trigger, tap that. It will say waiting, so you know it's ready for your input. Push the trigger, and then you should be good to go. You can just back out of this and everything should work fine. Also, you will notice I played all of the games in 4:3 aspect ratio. You can change that to 16:9. Here in video settings, game aspect ratio, just tap it, it will go to 16:9. I don't really like this because it looks kind of stretched to me. There is also another option which says stretch, but I feel like 16:9 already looks stretched. Let me just jump back into a game and show you what it looks like. So now jumping back into Crazy Taxi, we're now in 16:9 widescreen mode, and this is going to be complete personal preference if you prefer this. Personally, I feel like everything just looks a bit stretched, so I prefer to play the games in 4:3. It also might depend on what color Retroid Pocket 5 you have, because the black Retroid Pocket 5 blends seamlessly into the black screen, so those black bars are really not very noticeable. If you have one of the colored Retroid Pocket 5s, such as the GameCube one or the white one, then you might want to use the stretched mode to hide those black bars if they bother you. Personally, I think the 4:3 looks better, but once again, it's complete personal opinion, so just choose what you like the most. You may have noticed my videos have become a little bit longer in the past few days. Before I was uploading videos of about 5 or 6 minutes, but in the past few days I uploaded videos that were about 12 or 14 minutes, because I like the ad revenue money. I mean, because I want to help you guys. Let me know if you prefer those shorter videos or if videos around 12 to 14 minutes are okay for you, because I do like to share more tips and information, so having that extra time is nice. Many channels in the retro scene post 40-minute to 1-hour videos, and that's just not my style. I want to keep things short, sweet, fun, and informative. I want to help you guys out without taking up too much of your time. So I'll probably keep my videos to around 12 to 15 minutes, not too long. I was just curious how you feel about the length of the video, so please leave me a comment and tell me how you feel. I'll probably not think too much about the length of the videos and just make them as long as I feel like they need to be. So on that note, thank you so much for watching today. Please leave me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5, you can go to the official Retroid website using my affiliate link in the description below and buy one at the same place I bought mine. They are shipping them now. You can check online for shipping updates. They are working their way through the batches quite quickly now. You might need to wait a little bit of time, but it will be coming soon. And I hope anyone who used my affiliate code so far, I really hope you get your Retroid Pocket 5 soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the secret console. Yes, the mythical secret console returns. Let's jump straight into a game of Rocket League. This is my first time playing Rocket League since I think the month it came out. So I'm trying to remember what the buttons are. I know I can go forward like this and jump, but that's pretty much all I remember. Turning on the FPS counter, you can see we're locked at 60 frames per second, running beautifully here on the Retroid Pocket 5. As we are emulating this game, I don't think we're going to be able to play against real people online, but I've added in an AI bot here to play against, and this is my first time playing against someone probably ever in this game, so I'm probably going to get wrecked. Oh, what a goal! Oh. That's embarrassing. No, 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 no. Put the boosters on. Whoa, what a hit, son! What a hit! I can see why this game is popular. I'm liking it already. Oh, no, 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 no! Oh, no! Let's move on to the next game. Next up, we have an absolute classic, Portal 2. I was recently on a long-haul flight from Korea to Amsterdam. It was more than 14 hours, and during that time, I wished I was able to play Portal on the Retroid Pocket 5. So when I got off the plane, I researched, can I play Portal 2 on the Retroid Pocket 5? And you absolutely can! So I've just started a new game, and I only have the blue Portal available to me. I haven't unlocked the orange one yet, but I think I can already tell this is going to be the first single-player campaign that I finish on the Retroid Pocket 5. I've never actually finished this campaign, but I have put quite a lot of hours into it on PC. I used to connect an Xbox controller to my computer and play it, whereas now I can just play it in the palm of my hand wherever I go. This is great. I also now realize that I cannot speak and think at the same time, so I'm kind of just walking in circles mindlessly. Okay, what do we have to do? Push the button, push the button. Oh, hello. Oh, now we're going to drop down a box and launch it. This one drops the box, and this one launches. Oh, that's pretty cool. So let's drop the box and launch. Boom. With Portal being quite an old game now, it runs at a perfectly smooth 60 frames per second, but it looks glorious. Portal is such a great looking game. It really holds up years later. And having Stephen Merchant as a little robot following you around is genius. It's probably one of the funniest games I've played because Stephen Merchant is a comedy genius. Our next game is Excellent Crash Siblings. Please don't cancel me for this, but I've never played any of these games before. This is going to be my first time. So Y is jump, B is my bow, A is sword, and X is also jump. I have 2 jumps. Oh no, I've been picked up by a claw machine! We seem to be dropping some frames here and there. I can see the game stuttering. I'm not sure if that's loading in shaders or if it's just lagging. It is mostly a smooth experience, but I'm definitely feeling some stutters happening. Let's just use the sword, I guess. Sword, sword. Hit it with the bow. Well, the bow is very hard to hit with. Whoa! Bam! Just sent Mario to the Shadow Realm. I wonder what these items are that fall down. Can I use it? Is it good for me or bad for me? Oh, he just picked it up! And turned it into a brain. What is happening? I've never played this game before, and this is madness. I feel like this is a game that probably has a lot of button combos, and you probably also need to know what all the items do. Oh, what's this? Oh my god. I don't remember Mario doing that in Super Mario Sunshine. Time's about to run out, and I feel like I've definitely gotten wrecked in this one. I just turned silver. Yeah, unfortunately, we got wrecked. But that was very fun. I see why it's a popular game. This is Cricket 19. This was suggested in a few comments on my videos, so here I am testing it out. I did try to get Cricket 24 working, the newest version, but unfortunately it just crashed when opening, similar to the latest FIFA games. It seems like I can aim where I want to hit the ball and then choose what kind of hit I want, like an accurate one or a powerful one. This is my first time playing a cricket game on a console. I've played cricket in real life before, and I think I just got a 6. Oh, that's a 4, isn't it? That hand motion means a 4. Whoa. Let's see if we can hit a 6. A 6 in cricket is essentially a home run in baseball. Oh, that might be one. That might be good. I think we did it. Look at the misery on the other team's face. We did it. Oh, it was a 4. I'm just going to hit it directly straight. Oh, that's got to be a 6. That was beautiful. 6. It's out of there. Bam. Straight into a spectator's mouth. Beautiful. Now for a game that was definitely not requested by anyone, because it wouldn't be a Ryan Retro video without some obscure games. This is Nickelodeon Kart Rider, which is essentially a massive rip-off of Mario Kart. There are 12 characters to choose from. 4 of them are Ninja Turtles. And in this race, we're going to race around Bikini Bottom as Helga from Hey Arnold, with a strong unibrow. I had a practice race earlier before filming this video, and I'm ashamed to admit how much I got into this game. For the whole race, I was winning by just a few meters, and I was so desperate to win. Far more than I am when I play Mario Kart. I don't know why I took it so seriously. So this game is basically identical to Mario Kart. You ride around, you pick up boxes, which let you throw things at people. You glide around, you squirt milk at people. And I guess the one thing that makes it different from Mario Kart is that you can pick up slime. And you can see on the left side, you have a slime bar. And that's like your turbo mode, like your NOS boost in the Fast and the Furious. So I just did it now, and now I'm speeding away. I just picked up an acorn. I need to pick up more slime. Eat acorn, Patrick Star. Mario Kart is a much better game than this. But for some reason that I just cannot explain, I'm far more invested in this game. I think it's because I care about these characters more than I care about the Mario Kart characters. Because I grew up watching these shows like SpongeBob and Hey Arnold. To me, these characters had more of an impact in my childhood, rather than the Mario characters. Oh, it's getting close! This game also doesn't just let you win. I found when I played the first race of Mario Kart, it was like a freebie. They just let you win, even if you're doing really badly. Whereas this game is actually very close. You'd think a game based on the Rugrats and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be even easier. But it's really not the case. I've been hit by objects an uncountable number of times. Use the slime. Eat acorn. This game is honestly just so much more fun than it has any right to be. Eat acorn. We win! We win the race, but we'll never win the heart of Arnold. Oh. This is Pocket Beasts, protective item worn by Captain America. I think that's the correct full name. Anyone who plays this game knows that it's basically just endless cutscenes with this guy Hop, and after about 3 minutes you really want him to just hop off. The frame rate on this game is locked at 30 frames per second. It looks brilliant. This is one of the best looking games I've played on the Retroid Pocket 5. It looks so great, and it runs really well. We now have to fight a mystery monster. Go, Retro Bunny! Retro Bunny, throw the Retroid Pocket 5 at him! It had no effect! Quick, try something else. Teach him how to use Retro Arch! I think he already knows. Oh no, it's Russ from Retro Game Core! That brings us to the end of this video. I have a lot more games to test and show you in future episodes. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Leave any comments with anything you'd like to say. And if you'd like to pick up your own Retroid Pocket 5 so that you can play many systems on the go, check out the official Retroid website using my affiliate link in the description. It's the same place I bought this one. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.